Hey everybody, this is High Lord Tamerlane, and you are watching Obscurities in miniature. Today we have quite a big one. I don't know if miniature is the right word to describe it, but we have the Ygandr, the Hydra, who I can't really get in focus here. Let's fix that. Of Ydron. So this comes to us from Mierce Miniatures, part of their Darklands game, and this is an absolutely massive Hydra, probably one of the biggest on the market. He sits on a 120mm base, and he is big hunks of resin. So one thing I wanted to point out real quick here is because trying to figure out which head is which is going to be a very wonderfully futile event. They took the liberty of actually numbering off all of the heads to make things a little bit easier. And then we have the actual tail sections as well. So I'm going to pull out all the pieces and we'll take a look at all the parts of our Hydra here. Alright, so here we see all of the parts for Ygandr. I'm not sure what the actual pronunciation is, and he's one of the few models that Mierce didn't put a pronunciation guide on, but you can see our teeny tiny little Saurus warrior here and our witch hunter friend as well. The main body consists of the torso and then these big long segmented parts. That's going to make up the bulk of the body. And then you have these two little tails right here, and then those subsequently have these nice little blades that attach to them. Besides that, we actually have the 5 heads, and unfortunately, as much as I was complimenting the fact that they had those all numbered off, and it's now snapped off, okay. Most of the heads, the numbers are nowhere in sight, so we're going to be playing a guessing game, I guess, with this. But it honestly doesn't look too bad because, I mean, you at least have the artwork, the sculpted finished model on the front to use as a reference point. I am not too stressed. The main thing is going to be having to clean off all of these huge casting gates. And, I mean, that's just kind of a fact of life when you've got a model this size. There's a little bit of misalignment on the part of the torso there, but, you know, what you gonna do? We'll file it down a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't look as complicated as it actually is. It looks like it's gonna be a lot of work having to clean all of these up and then playing the guessing game of which head goes where. The sculpts on the heads are quite nice. I want to say Roberto Chadone sculpted these. It looks like his style. I could be wrong. The horns especially remind me of the Brithonia Dindrag guys. Like Erewhon. No. Ygandr. They remind me of Ygandr and the other Dindrags. I kept calling him Erewhon because that's the Thai place. Anyway, I'm going to get some clippers and some files and a mask because this is going to be some hardcore messy resin battles trying to get this stuff fitted together. Wish me luck, and hopefully we have a nice model to show for it in the end. It's always nice when the pieces want to cooperate. Yeah, it's going to take some serious work getting him all cleaned up here. All right, let's get to it. And behold Ygandr, if I am saying his name correctly, the Hydra of Ydron. So this is a big model, and just to show you a sense of scale, here is our little teeny tiny witch hunter. Now, let's talk about the model itself before I start playing around with it. There's going to be a lot of cleanup in terms of green stuff. There's a lot of gaps. This is still one of the early hand-sculpted Mierce models. A lot of their stuff these days is all digital, so there's a little less cleanup in that regard. Maybe I just didn't get the best cast. It's doable. It's definitely something that's going to take a little bit of work, especially around the heads. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I've glued all the heads on correctly. These two heads, since they kind of support themselves, I just left unattached for the time being. But just to give you a sense of what I mean, you can see there's huge gaps there that really are going to need some serious filling. But, you know, I wouldn't recommend a Mierce model for a beginner modeler anyways. I mean, this is stuff, even I'd say some of their newer 3D sculpts, they're still going to require a little bit of actual modeling skill and practice to put together. But this guy's going to need some serious work. And that's not a bad thing necessarily. I mean, to me, that's part of the joy of the whole hobbying aspect. So again, You can see there's a lot of gaps right here around where the head's attached to the torso, where his tail blades attach to the tail. And I actually kept this all a little bit separate just because that way I can get to the various parts a little bit easier. So here you can see the main body. So he's got kind of a exoskeleton-like shell. I'm not sure what color, but I just can't help. I see these three heads like this, and it makes me think of Ygandr, so I might go with like a yellowish-brown look to it. Might look nice. I'm really curious how he stacks up compared to the newer plastic Hydra that Privateer Press has put out. I don't know if it's going to be as big as this. I mean, here, here's an actual Darklands model to scale, just to give you a sense. Now, Kerouac is obviously going to be a very big dude because even with our witch hunter friend here, he's getting absolutely dwarfed. So this is a big model, and that's one of the things that the Chthon have in Darklands are big models. Here's another similarly sized. I believe this is Mazakilus, who is a greater basilisk for them as well. And someday he's going to actually get finished by me, but that's a whole nother story. Just to give you a good sense of size. I'll throw some other, here's our little axolotl model from Lost Kingdoms who doesn't want to pose on his base anymore. But yeah, this dude is absolutely bonkers big. Even the old Ygandr figure, who I call by the correct name finally, is still going to get dwarfed. So I think if you can find a model like this, he's pricey. I don't know if he's as pricey as the plastic model from Privateer, but you know, I got a fairly good deal on this, and I was more than happy to jump at the occasion. Probably because it's going to be a bit of a piece of work having to get all those gaps filled in, but I'm okay with that because I mean, really, he fills up that 120 millimeter base. That's how big a base he's on. It's like a CD size. And I mean, you can see there's a really nice sense of movement flowing throughout the whole body here as I precariously turn everything. And that's what we didn't want to have happen, but it happened anyway. So overall, very cool model. And Kerouac, being the tough dude that he is, actually survived it in one piece. Once again, he's fallen off of the table multiple times, fallen off the shelf, and he still has his horns attached. I just had a comment on that, but yeah. So, Ygandr here, quite impressive. Quite a bit of work involved, but overall a very cool model. And hopefully I will get some other Hydras to accompany him soon. With that said, this is High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities in Miniatures, trying to figure out, there we go, put all these heads back in place. Or pretend to. And with that, we shall say bye-bye.